Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Koss, and I'm doing this small presentation for an assignment that is due in a class that I'm taking over at the University of Advancing Technology. The class is called Python Level 1, and my professor is Professor Hinton. And in this assignment, I have to demonstrate how to use objects and libraries in Python. So the guidelines are basically I have to find a library that is on this website and use it in an application. So basically, in layman's terms, I import this library and do something useful with it. So then I have to basically submit it and get graded. So here's the rubric, but we're just going to jump right into it. So the library that I chose was called Free Games. And Free Games is basically a library that contains a bunch of different small video games that you can play using the Python language. The reason why I chose this is because, well, in order to use this the way they had it, you had to basically type the name of the game in the command prompt and basically play it from there. I didn't really like that idea because for somebody that's new at Python, they probably wouldn't understand it. So what I did is I basically wrote a program that allowed some of these games to be played inside an executable file. I'm going to show you this through the command prompt. We're going to run the game through the command prompt, but you're going to see that this program takes care of all of the bells and whistles for you. You don't really have to type in anything. It was quite difficult actually, and here's the reason why. Free Games actually uses a couple of other different libraries. One of those libraries is called Turtle, which is another popular library in Python. I love Turtle, but we'll get into that later. The other thing I had to do is inside of these libraries are different packages that you can basically import if you install the library. And basically what it is to cut down on memory and space. You only import the things that you're going to use. So I had to import Free Games as a library. I also imported Turtle as a library, and I imported everything from Turtle. That's what this little splat sign means. I imported random, which is going to let me do a bunch of things with like random numbers. I imported random range and choice. And from the Free Games library, I also imported square, vector, floor, and line, which are all useful for making games. For instance, drawing vector lines, drawing shapes and stuff like that. So the next thing I did is I know I wanted this to run in a loop, a game loop basically. So I needed a control state for that loop. So I made a Boolean called game over, and I gave it I flagged it as false basically. So once the game starts, as long as game over equals false, it'll continue through this loop. And this loop basically does this. It introduces you to the program. It asks you if you would like to play a game. If you want to play a game, it'll give you a menu and you can pick through several different games that I reverse engineered and made available through this program. Otherwise, it will tell you goodbye and exit the program. Now, when I say reverse engineer, I mean just that. These games would not run in the environment that I created. So I basically had to reverse engineer the code for these games, and I'll show you how I did that. So the library Free Games actually comes with a lot more games than I have here. I could only import about 4 of them before I ran out of time. So you have 4 different games to choose from, and then you can quit the program within this menu. Each game is represented by a number. You have to input the correct number and it'll start the game. So I'm going to go through the code briefly here because there's a lot to it, and I could spend all day telling you stuff like what I did, but in the end, basically, I reverse engineered it, and what that means is I took the code, I examined it, and then I picked it apart and made it work inside this environment. So I had to change a couple of things. Um, but in all intents and purposes, did I actually write all of this code? No, I didn't. Some of the code I did copy and paste, and I need to let you know that this is not all of my code, but the majority of it is. Um, so going through this code, let's pick out a couple of things that I know would interest you. Let's see here. Here we go. So in the game of Pac-Man, because you have a map basically that your character goes through, we used a tile set in order to make that happen. And basically all it is a list. We have a list called tiles, and inside those lists we have a bunch of zeros and ones. Now the zeros are going to represent one thing, and the ones are going to represent another thing. In this game, the zeros are going to represent black spaces which you can't travel through, and the ones are going to represent blue spaces in which your character can travel through. A maze, basically. We use some math, obviously. This is for turtle. You can draw up, you can go to a position, you can go down. This begins drawing. There's a lot to it, basically, and like I said, we could get into that, probably in another episode. This is just to demonstrate that I can use libraries efficiently. So as you can see, this code is quite extensive for a second week project. So I did spend quite an amount of time on this. And as you can see, here you go. So that's the end of the code. So let's jump into the program and let's show you what's going on. So we're going to take this. This is the command prompt, okay? And we're going to type in Python main.py. And that's going to basically start the program. Otherwise, what you would have to do is you would have to type in the name of the game that you wanted to play from the console, and it would start. Well, that's fine for somebody who knows Python, but if you don't know argument of values, or if you don't know what's going on with the command prompt here, it's really not going to make a lot of sense to you. So basically, we can run it as a Py program. Okay, so the program has now started. It tells you that it's free games for Python. Would you like to play a game? If you hit yes, if you input Y, it will give you a list of games you can play, and then you can also quit. So that's what makes this program so unique, is you have access to all these games right off the bat. Like I said, there are a lot more games. I can only basically reverse engineer 4 of them at the time of this recording. So let's go and play one of these games. Let's try Snake. I like Snake. Problem with Snake though is you got to be fast. If you're not on the ball with this right away, your character will die because he'll hit a wall. All right, so let's see if we can do this. Okay, so you're basically that black dot, and the object is to run into the green dot and make your snake bigger. I'm not really all that good at this game, but I like playing it. Come on now. Okay, so you get the idea. To me, this kind of reminds me of like an early version of like Centipede, except you're actually the centipede instead of the little thing trying to destroy the centipede. Now, this next part is important, and let me show you this. So the game has ended. So when you exit the game, the program acknowledges that, and then it basically says goodbye and then kicks you out of the program. There's a reason for that. While reverse engineering this, I noticed a fatal flaw, and that flaw was this. Once you exited a game, it would kick you back into the loop, but for some reason it would not acknowledge your choice, and it would spit out an error. So in reverse engineering, each game itself has a quit sequence. So after you quit, after you're done playing the game, it will basically eject you from the program, and you will have to start all over again. By typing in Python main.py, you're able to go ahead back in the program and play again. Unfortunately, that's the workaround that I have for it now. I'll definitely take a look at it and find out what's going on and see if I can adjust the program to compensate for that. But for now, this is a quick fix and it works, and I'm happy with it. All right, so let's take a look at Pac-Man in that list I showed you that we used as a game board. So here you are. So basically you're the little yellow circle. This is their version of Pac-Man, I guess. But as you can see, wherever there was a 0, there's a black, and then wherever there was a 1, there's blue. And through the program, through the programming, like the algorithm, basically you can travel through the blue and pick up the dots while trying to avoid the red circles. It's Pac-Man in its basic form. I like it. It's pretty cool. I mean, shoot, I didn't have to do much to make a game. It was easy. Again, closing it. Thank you for playing. Goodbye. All right. There's one other thing I want to show you. So let's do the paint program. So this is kind of neat. This uses Turtle graphics. Turtle's another separate library than the free games library, but the free games library uses the Turtle graphics library in order to make some of its games, which I thought was neat. So basically we're getting 2 for the price of 1 here. Now with Turtle graphics, basically this is just a basic drawing program. You click in one spot and another, and it draws a line. That little prompt there is called the turtle, and it'll follow wherever you draw. So if I click here and I click there, it draws a line. Alright, so what happens if I don't want to draw a line but I want to start somewhere else? Well, then I basically just double click where I want to start, and as you can see, the line wasn't drawn. So if I click here, click there, click there, click there, click there, click there. But I don't want to draw anymore, but I want the cursor to come down here. So we'll double click there. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so we'll start there, click there, click there. You get the picture, right? Okay. So again, it quit. Now, I just want to show you one last thing to show you that I did do what I said I was going to do. So if you do not want to play the game, you hit end. Basically, it thanks you for playing, and then goodbye, and it kicks you out of the program. And that is my demonstration for using Python libraries. If you like what you see in here today, please give me an A. I really could use it. Thanks, and have a great day.